Thanks for joining us again. Gentlemen, it's a little bit of John Carpenter tonight, I believe.
Never enough.
Never enough. We might have differing opinions. Prince of Darkness from 1987. Okay. But before we get there, what have you guys been watching? Maddie, let's start with you. It's always an interesting list.
Give it to us. Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, I don't know if you want to hear what I've been listening to and watching. I watched a show on ABC called Starstruck, which is a bit like a comedy drama sort of thing about a girl that falls in love with an Indian actor who's like world famous. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. We watched the first episode of The Good Doctor, which is an autistic kid who gets an internship as a doctor, and it was ridiculous. It was like, they're like, he's got autism. He can't work in a hospital. It's like for the board of directors in a hospital, they seem pretty uneducated. It was pretty funny. Watched Atypical, so the new season of that one's come out.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a bit more of the same. It's not too bad. The Matt Groening's thing, Disenchanted, I got back onto the new season of that, which is always funny. That show's great. They just know how to put a gag together on that. And it was because I'd finished Rick and Morty, which is, again, right in my wheelhouse. I really love it. I watched the first episode of This Is Pop, which is the doco, the music, Netflix music doco, which is all about the first episodes. I just watched the first episode, but it's all about Boys to Men.
Oh.
So they're just talking about their rise and how they sort of straddled the line between pop music and still maintain R&B roots.
Shit, I didn't know this was out there.
Hooked. You've got me.
It's so good.
Check it out.
It is so funny. And just they're like having a laugh about it and how they got their first record deal and all this stuff. It's really, really entertaining. Yeah, highly recommend that. I'm going to get back into that one. I also started the doco on John Belushi, which is on Stan.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Belushi. Yeah, it's really good. Just interesting to see his rise and how everyone just saw him as being the superstar, and which I guess we don't really get a glimpse into that in Australia from growing up when we did. We obviously missed that whole era of Saturday Night Live and that being a staple. So It's really interesting to see how they revered him to some extent.
Because I saw that. Isn't there some comparisons between him and Chris Farley? Do they not make that?
Yeah, burnt out and just got into the wrong side of life.
Yeah.
I just think he's such a compelling character. Like Blues Brothers, I'm such a massive fan of, and even his brother's work, I don't even mind too bad.
According to Jim's favourite of yours,
Red Heat would have fallen apart without him.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned Chris Farley, because the first time, like, obviously Saturday Night Live only came in for me when Foxtel came to Australia. And one of the first sketches I saw was the Chippendales with Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley. Piss funny.
So good. I finished off The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah?
The second season of that very quickly. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for more. It's
They've
quality
definitely
show.
upped like the fan service, but managed to do a pretty good job of balancing it with still good storytelling.
Just really good, and even the good cameos as well. And that's really, really good. It's quality viewing. I'm happy to watch that anytime. So, Farmer Wants a Wife, that's been on in the background. That show's ridiculous. They can get stuff.
Isn't there a controversy this season? One of them's not a farmer.
Is that legitimate?
Yeah, apparently he lives in the city and just, I don't know,
has a farm on the
He
side.
commutes to a hobby farm. Get out of here.
Yeah, you can't be on there. Get on
Bloody
there.
oath. So they scraped the bottom of the barrel, and he was
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Well, usually, like, you know, they sell the show on, oh, yeah, these blokes are isolated. There's not a lot of women for them to meet. This bloke's, he's fucking cheating. This is not allowed. It's not acceptable.
False advertising.
Oh, that's like the random cops who were drafting in the cop draft. There's a set criteria.
That's right.
Just stick to it.
Tackleberry, Hightower, you're in.
Yeah. Farmer wants a wife. The criteria is get farmers. Don't get some bloke you just happen upon driving through
and they
town.
want wives. Don't get somebody who says, I may have been on a farm a few years ago. But quite frankly, I can't get a woman. Can you help me out?
I finished off some quality viewing with some Love Island as well. You know you're dealing with quality people when they're listing the list of characteristics that they want to find in a partner, and one of them is, I just want someone to really smash me in bed. That's a really
well,
good,
isn't that everyone's
really good
top
viewing,
characteristic?
quality people. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just can't. I cringe watching that because one of the dudes on there's a teacher. I'm like, how could you go back to your daily life?
Oh, but they're not
as
going
an
to.
educator.
These guys are going to come sort of C-grade, D-grade celebrities who open, go to nightclub openings. They're not going to go back.
You can't make that a career for the rest of your life.
Some of them are
Some
for
of them will.
10 minutes, and then other ones
Forgotten, sure.
Like, there's so many of them now that career path is not all that clear. You're not going to make it last.
Yeah.
But surely he's trying to live a self-fulfilling life of educating on the next generation. Like throwing T-shirts on stage or getting vodka sprayed at you is probably not.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
Going to last for long. Your self-esteem.
I mean, look at some of these. Who's that dickhead who was around the Kardashians? The husband?
Which one?
Sorry, I'll narrow it down.
Please elaborate.
He was married to one of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he does.
That's a career.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, that's a fucking lucrative career.
I know.
But, when you're on Love Island, it's not as lucrative.
Yeah,
surely.
True. I mean, we need
to get have a chat with the wives and
say all we're looking for is just
listen. We're going to find some women that'll let us smash them in bed. That's all they're looking for.
Of everything you've looked for, love.
As you said, Matty, when there's that many women, we're just multiplying the dissatisfaction.
Yeah. I talk a good game.
Instead of not satisfying one woman, we're not satisfying a number of women.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Look,
I'd be horrible on that
I'd
show.
be
15 minutes. 15 minutes, I'd be like, I've got nothing to talk to you about. I'd be done.
Yeah.
I'm going over there.
Is this the UK Love Island?
Yeah.
It's made even worse by all that bullshit they go on about fucking banter and all this sort of crap.
You've seen it,
I have seen it. One guy in the season I saw, he kept crapping on about how he was top shagger and all this sort of stuff.
You see, my theory on that sort of stuff is if you got to tell everyone you're the top shagger, you're not the top shagger.
Also, who's doing the who's rating
this?
this?
Speak for itself. You let your work speak for itself.
Exactly. Be humble.
That's right.
No one
Be
likes...
classy. Be classy in victory and defeat.
On international television.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Was that the end?
And then
was that the lowest portion?
The last one I saw was I got onto your Shudder and watched some Vicious Fun, which is pretty good comedy slasher sort of movie. It's good fun.
Yeah, I might have to check that out.
So I'm 2 for 2 from Shudder. I don't know about
you're 2 for 2, yeah, but that's the number of movies that are on there. You've run out already. Okay, is that everything, Matty?
Yeah. Father's Day is next on the agenda.
God. Yeah, you'll be 2 and 1 after that, I'd say. Jared?
That's me.
Thoughts?
That's me.
Yeah, so I also watched Vicious Fun.
Mm.
I thought it was really good, yeah. I liked it a lot. As I said to Maddie, when we first kicked it off, I thought to myself, this bloke's going to really annoy me. And then within about 5 minutes, I was like, nah, he's turned me around. He's good. He's good. And then he comes out with a couple of really funny moments throughout the movie. Solid premise. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would check that one out again in a heartbeat, I reckon. I got onto, and this was because, again, my son was working his way through some of the comic book fare. Mm. I watched Venom again. Oh. So, I mean, it's it's Tom Hardy is just nuts in it. He's just bonkers. So there's definitely entertainment in that, and I will go and watch the next one. Adam, obviously, I mentioned to you I picked up a couple of sets, and I've worked my way through one of them.
I believe we put them on Instagram.
Yes,
and didn't get a lot of bites. So
oh look. Everyone loved it. Don't you worry. They were absolutely frothing.
Which one are you working
Children
through?
of the Corn. So I haven't started Children of the Corn yet.
Yes.
I've left that to the side because the Psycho box was short and sharp. So yeah, I worked my way through 1 to 4. Good to go back to number 1.
Yes.
Because obviously it's another one of these ones where it's obviously we came into it when the landscape had totally changed. Psycho had already impacted everything, so it's hard to see it with the eyes of this was the first one. But it's still an excellent movie. Like Hitchcock, just his direction just keeps you in, and Anthony Perkins is top notch. So I really enjoyed that one again. But it was really 2 and 3 that I was really interested in because I've just never been able to access them anywhere. I couldn't find them anywhere. So number 2, I very much enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I've actually, since then, I've been, digging through a couple of the ranks and reviews and things like that. A lot of people seem to put number 2 ahead of number 1. And I don't know whether that's just, in recent couple of years that's become the popular opinion. Me, personally, I don't think it's better than number 1.
No.
But it's excellent. It's actually really, really good. And it starts to move more into that slashery sort of stuff.
Isn't that directed by an Australian fella?
Yeah. Bloke that did Road Games, isn't it? Franklin?
Yeah.
Richard Franklin, is that him? So, yeah, I was very impressed with it. I really, really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good take on the material, especially, 20 odd years later.
Yeah, well, it's very different, right? It's not just a rehash. It brings some very interesting ideas into it. And it's funny because I watched Bates Motel, the series, before I'd seen either of these ones.
Yeah.
Actually, 2, 3 or 4, I'd never seen any of them before I watched Bates Motel. So watching it with that in mind, they actually take a lot from it. They actually take some of the ideas about, playing him sympathetically and further into the series, they definitely take a lot more. But, yeah, I really liked it too. And I also really liked part 3. It's nowhere near as good as 2 was. But again, Anthony Perkins is excellent. He's really, really good again. There's just something about him in those first 3 where I think he puts some really solid performances together. And as we spoke about, Adam, 2 and 3 are kind of been forgotten a little bit in some circles.
Yeah. Didn't Perkins direct 3 as well?
He directed 3, yeah. And that brings a couple of nice touches. It also goes a little bit off in some places.
Yeah.
But again, they throw some ideas up. Jeff Fahey is just... he's so watchable as one of the biggest bloody scumbags I've ever seen. Everything he does is just laced with scumbaggery, but of course he's got that fucking cheeky charm about him where he's flashing the smile and carrying on. So, I really enjoyed that one. Again, some different ideas. Number 4, not so much.
No.
Not so much. That was the one that was the TV movie. The idea, again, was interesting, that he's calling into a late-night sort of radio program and kind of putting his backstory out there. I was okay with that as the framework for the prequel elements. But the prequel elements were fucking bizarre. Like, Olivia Hussey was just off the fucking wall.
Was she's mum?
She's mum, yeah. Oh. So, but again, I looked at that and I thought, there's actually parts of this that I think Bates Motel probably looked at.
Yeah.
And did just far better. Like, if you've seen Bates Motel, Vera Farmiga is just awesome as the mother. And funny you mentioned the Good Doctor, Maddie. He's Norman Bates in that one, in that series, and he's excellent as well. So, yeah, I might actually go rewatch the series again now. It might take me some time, but I'll probably work through a few more episodes of that now that I've got this in mind. I noticed the Bates Motel TV movie was on YouTube, so might have to have a quick peek at that.
Because that was initially a pilot, wasn't it? For a TV show, but then it never got anywhere, so they just turned it.
Yeah, so they chucked it into a TV movie, and from all accounts, pretty much, the commonly held opinion is that's the bottom of the series.
So you have to check it out.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
It's the arsehole of the series, and Jared's a proctologist when it comes to film.
But, YouTube, you've got the luxury of just, you can just whack it on ×2 for a couple of minutes just to kind of work through these things at a bit of pace if they're not worth your time. that was it for me, bar one more. I watched Loki. Watched the Loki series on Disney Plus.
How was it?
Really good. Really good. First couple of episodes, I was just kind of like, what's this? Like, what is this? It was just so different and not what I was expecting. But it becomes a really very... it's a really good breakdown of the character, but it also is a very interesting way to explore the timelines and stuff. And the implications are huge. They're really exciting, but the series itself is fucking fantastic. I mean, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, I could watch them just sit and talk to each other all day. There's a particular character that comes in late in the series that the performance is just mesmerising. The guy is just fantastic. And the worst parts of the series were when they got into fights and were, on the run and stuff like that. I was just kind of like, let's just get back to the chat. Like, it was really, really good. I would highly recommend it if you got any investment in the Marvel. Well, if you got any investment in the Marvel series, you'll watch it. The MCU, you'll watch it. But the implications are massive. So yeah, very good.
All right, it's good to hear. The only thing I watched was I finished off the first season of Whitechapel, which is basically, it was a detective series that sort of, the first season covers a group of detectives in 2000s who are suddenly seeing the same type of murders for Jack the Ripper, basically being recreated. Mate, it was fucking awesome. I was really impressed with it.
Good idea.
And I managed to track down the second season, which I think is off. They go away from it. The Jack the Ripper stuff was kind of wrapped up in that first season, so it'll be interesting to see how the second season goes. It's obviously the same detectives, but it's looking at a different case, perhaps. So that'll be interesting, but it was definitely worth a look. But that was it.
Oh, it's good. I'll have to check that one out, I think.
Yeah. It was hard to find, but I believe if I sign up to BritBox...
oh, fucking hell.
Oh, mate, I've only got 6. Sure, I've got out of 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hemorrhaging money, but...
I'll trade you for the Children of the Corn series.
Yeah, well...
1 to 7, that's a lot to work through.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it's a fair trade.
Stephen King, come on.
Oh, yeah.
The bloke needs your support. We've spoken about this.
Yeah, he's short of a few dollars. All right, well, let's take a break. And here's the trailer for 1987's Prince of Darkness.
In the most sacred place, in the darkest of night, the most evil force man has ever known is awakening.
I've got a message for you.
From John Carpenter,
No one out there can help us.
director of Halloween, comes Prince of Darkness. He is here. Prince of Darkness, rated R, now playing at theaters everywhere.
Prince of Darkness from 1987, written and directed by John Carpenter, who gave us Big Trouble in Little China, and it's produced by Larry Franco, who was a co-producer on Tango and Cash. It stars...
Knows a good film when he sees one.
yeah, so this will make no sense. Donald Pleasance stars as Priest, Jamison Parker is Brian Marsh, Victor Wong is Professor Howard Birack, and Lisa Blount is Catherine Danforth. The budget was $3 million, and the box office was $14 million, and the film was shot in 30 days. Now, Jared, your thoughts on Prince of Darkness?
All right. Look, me and Maddie watched it a couple of weeks ago now, so I'm probably going to forget a bit about it,
Yeah.
but just putting it out there. Look, it was really good to get a look at it because I had never seen it. It was one of Carpenter's movies that I just hadn't seen for whatever reason. Obviously, in Australia, we got a bit of a re-release of a few of his films on Blu-ray there, so I kind of scooped them all up.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this was the first time I'd gone to it, and there's touches of classic Carpenter in there, no doubt. There's things that he does throughout. I mean, there was particular shots where we were sitting next to Maddie here. I was sitting next to Maddie here, and I was just saying that looks just like Halloween, or that looks just like or parts of it evoked Escape from New York or something like that. You had the score, which at times was kind of classic Carpenter, but then also just kind of overdid it in some parts and things like that. So you got these touches, but all in all, I feel like it was a bit of a slog, especially through the middle. And the more I think about the payoff, I feel like it under-delivered. And so I think in the end, I probably went at a 2.5. And I think it was mainly because, there was a heap of touches that I really liked. Some of the tone and the sets and stuff like that were really foreboding and really kind of put this sort of tone in place that you were really anticipating what was going to happen. But then through the middle, I feel like it got lost. There was sort of so many people involved, and it got lost in this kind of science and religion thing. So you didn't really know anybody. You didn't really get to know anybody. So by the end of it, people are getting trapped in there. Dennis Dunn was one example. I really liked him, but by the end of it, when he's trapped in the room, I was sitting there thinking, I barely even seen the bloke in the movie until now. So I think all in all, I landed on a 2.5. Wouldn't mind going back to it. There's definitely things that I would like to check out. There was also a commentary there that I mentioned to Maddie. That might be one that we jump into. But yeah, 2.5 for me.
All right. Maddie?
I liked it a lot more than you, Jad. I dug that it had a whole bunch of different aspects and different kinds of movies in there. I liked that they were trying to send you in some different directions. There's alien transmissions, and there's you've got that whole religion thing going on. There's they're like transcribing scripts, so there's a bit of an occult thing going on. It goes into like zombie movies in parts. I liked it. It was something a bit different. I liked the pace of it. I liked the imagery, and I love some of the actors in there. Like they're just, I thought it was actually really entertaining, and considering how old it is something that you haven't seen since. Maybe because for most people it's rubbish, but but for me, I really enjoyed. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it. I sat on a 3.5.
There was parts of it where I was right there. I was thinking, this is really good. But it was just, it sort of dipped out a little bit. I
agree there's parts in there where it does get dragged and stretched and it fails to invest in some of the characters, but I kind of like that you've got all these little side stories going on.
Interesting.
As it continues.
So Snake Eyes for you, mate?
Yeah.
Snake Eyes.
That's right up there with Snake Eyes.
Well, I'm obviously... well out here because I didn't like this at all. I think this one is somehow been caught up in we're refinding this one and it's not as bad as everyone made out. No, it's as bad as everyone made out back in 1987. It's shit. It's boring. It's boring. It's stupid. Like the premise is ridiculous. Like, the fucking devil's a green glob in some bloody... down in the basement of a church? Come on, John. This is... it's garbage.
I thought it was cool.
No, I thought that was interesting.
The secret, and it looks cool too.
Not so much that he was a green glob, but I just like the fact that they had sort of what they thought was... not trapped, but they were kind of protecting the world from the devil for generation. I actually like that. I didn't mind that.
That makes me want to laugh.
Only opens from the inside. I like it.
This is Carpenter's way off his food.
Who constructed that?
Carpenter's off his food here. His direction's not very good. His dialogue's tragic. I mean, you can tell that this is where he went off. This is where he's the end of his run. Like, this is not good stuff from him at all.
Are you trying to tell me that when we jump into vampires, I'm not going to be fucking loving it?
You're not.
I think I'm going to be loving
it. I think the bloke, this is where he kind of lost his mojo. Because this is after They Live, is that correct?
No, before. I think this one was before They Live.
It was the one before.
Was it? Okay, well, he must have found his mojo briefly with They Live. Because, I really had a hard time enjoying this at all. And in fact, they play it too straight. They should have played it... They should have been far more, leaning into the absurdity of it all. But It's so straight, and I'm just like, but this entire premise is ridiculous.
I liked how they set it up.
Yeah, look, I disagree. I think he had the mojo with the directing and whatnot in parts. I felt that was some of the better stuff. I think the writing possibly let him down, and I think perhaps it was a result of this one being an independent, that he didn't have someone to say, "Listen, John, we got to sharpen this up because it's a bit boring in the middle. You're getting lost with the conversations." Because I felt obviously he had another. Carpenter doesn't like to make a movie without something to say. So obviously he had these discussions about the religion and the science and what do you do when every belief you have is challenged.
Yeah.
But it's right in front of your eyes and all this sort of stuff. And I thought the vehicle wasn't necessarily the problem. I didn't mind the idea and the concept. The dialogue, I wouldn't say he's off. I wouldn't say he's off his food. It wasn't. Look, I think there was just too much of this. The theological conversation versus possibly too much. Dare I say, possibly too much Johnny Pleasance. And what's his name? Victor Wong going back and forth.
How dare you? That was one of my favourite parts.
I liked portions of that.
Yeah.
But I felt like sometimes it became too much. And they were almost like easy prey because the fucking devil's out, but they don't know because they're too busy fucking having a debate.
Look.
Edward Barak at the beginning in his classroom when he's going into the whole conversation about matter and matter has substance and time and direction. And forget about everything. It's in between the particles. I was hooked from that. After that.
I dug most of that stuff.
That is John Carpenter on cocaine.
Jesus. So what's your rating here?
1.5.
Jesus Christ.
I will not watch this again.
Holy shit.
I can tell you right now, I will.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, Johnny let me down here. John let me down here.
He can always claim it wasn't him in the writing.
Martin Quatermass.
There's another pseudonym.
Martin Quatermass is to blame.
That wasn't me. That was Quatermass.
My problem with it is I would have gone along with it if he'd have been a little more cheeky with it and a little less as I said, straight. It was too straight.
That's caca.
And I'm just thinking, you've got the devil as a green goo downstairs, and you're not going to play with it.
What I was saying was the devil wasn't a green goo. I thought it was just obstructing something.
Well, whatever.
I actually thought that the green goo was a striking image.
It was stupid.
Crosses and candles and Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. John Carpenter.
It looked like a gateway into another world.
Do you know what his next few movies are, though? He goes way off now after this.
No, well, he did this, then he did They Live.
Then he
which was
did
excellent.
bloody Mouth of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness.
Well, look, that has a lot of supporters. I was not one of them.
I know,
when I
but
watched
this
it.
has supporters too.
If you don't like it, it's not good. It's for a John Carpenter flick.
It feels like that this one's just packaged in with a lot of some of his other, much better but overlooked films, like They Live and things like that. Like They Live is a good movie, and it was overlooked back when it was first made, and now it's sort of found some life. But it feels like this one doesn't deserve that kind of love for me.
It's not Big Trouble in Little China.
No, it's not. It's not. That's another one that was overlooked, and it is a fantastic movie. But no one wanted to see it back in the cinemas. This, no one wanted to see it in the cinemas. I understand why.
Interesting.
Okay, let's get into it. The score is not great, Carpenter, but as always, he has that really cool sort of synth and that pulsing sort of stuff, and it really works.
Apparently, it was done in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's the way he works, isn't it? Just whips it together on a Casio or something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, but yeah,
he always manages written in 24 hours.
He always manages to match it with what he's going for. He always manages to make the music matter and make it kind of drive what he's going for. He also made good use of there was little bursts of choir in there, which I thought felt neatly with that little sort of underground church setting that was going on there.
Some Alice Cooper in there.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. He is very convincing as a homeless man.
Well, Adam, we had a brief conversation about seeing him performing at the NBA Finals the other day.
In a Phoenix jersey. That was good.
He looked better in this.
Yeah. He now looks like a 75-year-old homeless man. that the homeless people were kind of creepy.
Yes.
The way they
I did like
talked, and
that.
it kind of had that kind of almost like synthetic vibe. The way they spoke, and the way they kind of just sort of hung around out the front. You know,
And
had
the lady with the fucking weird voice as well. Like the crew of them
bugs.
sort of standing around and moving together, and this kind of cult-like fashion was. Yeah, that was that.
That was a good way to contain everything inside the building too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it kind
That
of
woman with the bug cup is gross.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
When she comes
Very
up and
ordinary.
talks to Donnie Pleasant, starts going, "Thank you for reopening the church." And there's a
Yuck, get
I
away
didn't
from
say
me.
this, don't talk to me.
The church is
Here's
closed,
$1.
sorry.
Go away.
Yeah, I actually liked it. I thought he set the tone pretty well in general with the church,
The
with
opening credits,
conversations with Victor Wong and all that, and the credits of going through that whole process where we don't actually hear what we started calling him Father Loomis because essentially it was the same.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
What Father Loomis
That's his
is
name
talking
in it.
about.
That's his name in it.
No, well, in the
Just says priest, I
there's-
think. In the
yeah, he's
credits.
credited as priest.
Yeah.
Oh, so I think in the script,
They
perhaps
reference
he was,
him.
yeah, but essentially we didn't hear what he was saying, but we got the sense of what we got this sense that something was going fairly wrong, and the way that they kind of they kind of set it up. This bloke's dying, and he hands over this key, and then we find the mysterious jar of goo in the basement. I actually liked that. I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty good.
But you've even got like nuns coming to the physics class to let him know. It's that whole religion coming into the science. I dug it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
The mustache belonging to our main character.
Yeah.
It was like a giant caterpillar. It had a tinge of red in it, which I thought was...
Certainly.
I mean, I couldn't tear
Definitely
my
think
eyes off it.
He opened up the Playgirl and turned to Tom Selleck, and he's like,
That's what I'm looking for.
That is what I want.
The mustache was the best thing about the bloke. So
Yeah, I believe he was the star of a long-running drama series called Simon and Simon, and that's maybe where the Mo had come from.
I thought you were going to say a long series, long-running series of ads about Cougar Bourbon.
Yeah. He could have passed himself off for a Cougar Bourbon as a Cougar Bourbon spokesman. Stabbing the bloke to death with a bike? Was it a bike?
Yeah.
That was inventive stuff.
I read about that.
Yeah, isn't that
Alice-
something that's in
Alice
Alice's
Cooper-
stage
Well,
show or something?
Yeah, it was in his
Yeah.
stage show. He came to him at WrestleMania. I met John Carpenter at WrestleMania and said, I really want to be in a horror flick. And he said, can I
got a
steal a
bike.
bike trick?
I can ride to the set on a bike.
Right.
Only if I can steal a bike trick.
So he got
is
John
what
in a
was
figure
John
four
Carpenter.
leg lock at WrestleMania and then asked to be in the film.
Yeah. Johnny did the flare flop and said, "Yep, no worries."
Translated into a great career. This one in Wayne's World, the classic.
Well, yeah, that's true. There's a couple of nasty deaths in a row there. There's the stabbing with the bike. Then there's the one with the pair of scissors.
Yeah, that's
where the
nasty,
bloke's
isn't it?
covered in the bugs and stuff.
Car.
I thought that, yeah, oh God, that's what I mean by dialogue problems. You know, John needed a Deborah Hill or something to be going, no. I'll rewrite that. But that was a pretty nasty death.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it was sort of, it kicked off the kind of trapping them in the house and then beginning the sort of situation inside.
Yeah.
Did you like that Scully was in it?
Scully?
Hitchcock
Yeah,
and Scully
Hitchcock.
from
It was Hitchcock.
Hitchcock?
Was it?
from
Yeah. Hitchcock from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Which
I mean,
one
man,
was he?
He was the he was
fat
already
bloke with the
balding.
broken
Yeah,
neck.
he looked once we picked it was like, yeah, that's definitely him. And as soon as watching it in that context now, he's getting around and we're just sitting there going, well, this is fucking going south, isn't it? he's involved.
That was
And
the
I think
laughs he missed out on. I
He
think.
was the first one that was killed
Yeah,
by
he gets his neck
girl
snapped.
gets his neck snapped. So the girl got infected by whatever it was, and then got his neck snapped straight after that. So yeah, that was amusing, and it was kind of funny to see him as a young man.
There's a couple of, well, as I said Carpenter was not at his peak directorially, but there is a couple of nice shots, especially one involving the woman going to bed, and then just behind her you can just see, sort of out of focus, the girl who's infected sort of appears. Very much, very, very reminiscent of Halloween, but it works in that.
I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of bits of there was one in particular that evoked Michael Myers big time, when it's the shot down the hallway and the lady that's been infected kind of steps into the frame. You just see the shoulder step into frame and stuff like that. I felt there was a couple of his sort of classic touches. Maybe one of the criticisms might be that we've seen this from him before and he's reusing stuff he's already done, but I still felt it was pretty effective for the most part. I felt he did get some creepy moments out of things that weren't necessarily all that creepy. Just you know, the classic someone standing in a corner or whatever. I think he did pretty well to wring some effective scares out of him.
Yeah. The guy falling apart and becoming a pile of bugs.
Yeah.
Followed by old mate snapping off a piece of the chair and jamming it at his neck.
Yeah, that was nasty, wasn't it?
Yeah, see, this was the period where the film found a bit of life for me. I mean, I was bored silly until this period.
Yeah, and there was more scares.
Pack on a few things, and I thought, shit, here we go.
Yeah, there was more scares through that stretch than I was expecting, to be honest. Like, you get that, you get, what's her name? Susan has a few, I think she's the one that was infected, wasn't she? She has a few creepy moments, like crawling into the bed. Lisa on the keyboard, like typing
that was cool.
I actually really liked all of that stuff.
Coming up the stairs, singing the Negro spiritual.
Yeah.
That guy was creepy.
He was, and he was underused, I felt. I mean, that voice, shit, I could have listened to it for the whole movie.
But his laugh as well.
Yeah, and he gives a laugh where it's kind of like obviously hurt by the fact that he's got a hole in his throat, so it makes this weird sort of noise like when he laughs.
Yeah, there's some gurgling going on.
It kind of worked out nicely.
And he's like, in parts, he's like almost crying as well.
Although, what the fuck was going on with him at the end?
It's creepy.
Where he's standing in front of the mirror like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, I think is he trying to open up the gateway to get the tail out?
I don't know what he was doing.
See, that was.
I felt
that was.
Look, maybe you need a rewatch, Ad.
I don't want to.
Get back on it. Watch it again. And then after you finish, watch it with a commentary too.
Oh, man.
A bit more sense of things.
But he'll be blaming Martin Quarterbass.
To be honest, that was the part where I was getting a little bit sort of like, is that all that we're going to do after he opens the portal? But yeah, I still felt those moments were really effective, and I think perhaps that's why the drop off at the end. Well, I felt like there was a drop off at the end because all of those other things were handled quite well, I thought. I also liked, I mentioned it briefly when we were talking about the setup, but that underground, the underground where they're holding it and there's just mountains of crosses and candles and shit, that looked awesome. Yeah. I thought that was a really, really effective set. And every time they went in there, it felt scary. It felt like it was kind of enclosed and obviously the you get the imagery and the symbology of all the crosses. So when there's so many of them, it kind of ramps up. It feels like whatever they're dealing with down here is scared the shit out of them.
Yeah, so, tapped into a bit of Carrie as well. And I don't know. That's what I was feeling when I was watching it. But hold on, there's so much light. It's like it's to the point where they're looking for protection.
Yeah. So I actually, and obviously they used that quite a bit, and I felt that was a very, very good move going in with the church. I liked the layout of the church. Felt again they possibly could have used some of it a little more, but generally I liked the layout of that building and what they did with it.
I liked Dennis Dunn trapped in the room, but not really realising that he's in trouble. until the body turns into the Exorcist.
Yeah, the bloke was downright casual for fucking.
Well, he's cracking out gags.
Well, I thought that was a
Said a
problem.
rich doctor.
I found that was a problem because he just saw a bloke break a piece of a chair off and jam it in his own throat.
Yeah.
Let's not be casual about this, Dennis.
Yeah, he was a little casual for my liking,
Yeah,
but it was.
yeah. It's not time to tell us a joke.
But I think that fit in with his character. He seemed a bit entitled the whole way through. I'm going to let the others dig the hole out, and then I'll be safe.
I thought you would like that, Adam. You were saying you wanted a little bit more cheek from
but
Martin Quatermass.
I need a full movie of cheek. Look, I said I
Quatermass
didn't...
is one of the most underrated directors. I mean, the bloke never got another fucking chance, did he?
Exactly.
Most underrated writer in Hollywood.
Based on the strength of this, I can see how he missed out on further work. I said I didn't particularly like the green sort of goo stuff, but I did actually think the sequence where it's coming out of her mouth and her eyes and just going up onto the roof was quite effective. You know, it was probably the only time I felt like, that's actually kind of creepy, that sort of look. Especially how they sort of pan across the roof, come down, and she's just laying there, and it's just coming out of her at full pelt. I thought that was kind of pretty well done.
It's kind of cool that the pool on the roof as well. That was now that you mention it, I really like that.
I like the way they kind of did it too. It's obviously done in a certain way. Probably they might have used one of those bloody rotating rooms, Jared, like they did in Freddy or something like that. But
yeah, it felt like that was the case.
But it looked cool. I mean, I think the idea of that was kind of very cool.
I also felt the mirror, the way that they shot the mirror, looked really good. And then hearing about how they did it, I mean, fuck, George Miller would be proud. Apparently they got one of the fucking cranes and drained the mercury out of it. Then used the mercury as the mirror to shoot with, and then put it back in. So yeah.
OH&S got a back seat that day.
But it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it does actually. It does. I appreciated the sort of the technological sort of effort. Some of this
and the
stuff.
danger that you're putting, you're really putting everyone in danger to get the job done there, John.
I like that.
And then John said, when OH&S shows up, and John says, "You're looking for Martin Quatermass. I'll tell him you come."
I know nothing about this stuff. His name is Mr. Martin Quatermass. I'm not quite sure where we could find him.
Writer/OH&S officer for this shoot.
Fire warden. My last like was, I think, the imagery of the woman who basically kind of almost like decomposes, and the effects involved in a lot of that, I thought was quite striking.
Yeah,
Found a very
it looks
nice
pretty
balance
good.
there.
I thought it was kind of halfway there. I thought it was really creepy, but then there was particular shots where I looked at the face and thought, I'm not so sure about it. But yeah, you're right. I think the way that they used it, in general, the shots that they used it in, it was quite striking. The imagery, and it was pretty chilling in a couple of parts.
Looking out at it, and she's changing. Every time he looks back out, she's looking different, and she's getting worse and worse. And initially, I just assumed she was just going to rot.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that she sort of gets up and sort of gets back involved, I guess. And tries to, the whole daddy thing, reaching through the mirror.
Yep.
You didn't like Loomis hiding behind the cabinet?
Oh, yeah.
Look, I've got some problems with Loomis.
Oh, shit. He does a couple of questionable things there,
but also acting-wise.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll preface it with I love the man.
I mean, look, unless you're saying that's if you're bringing up Halloween 5 and talking that sort of stuff, I might hear you. But other than that, I can't have it.
What else have you guys got?
My last like was it was the only payoff for that relationship was the girl getting stuck in that liquid with the devil
in
the mirror before that
I
mirror
like
gets
you
smashed
appreciate the idea of it, but it's so clumsily handled because their relationship is just bullshit.
Yeah, but that's the only payoff. Like it's definitely, we'll get into that with the dislikes, I guess, but that final image of they've had to leave her behind is pretty gross.
Her kind of reaching out towards the mirror from inside.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty striking stuff, you know.
Again, with the RHS, apparently they had her underwater.
Oh, did they?
Really?
And she felt like her life was at risk. That's why he got such a good image.
James Cameron on second unit or something.
Yeah, James Cameron came past and said, what you do is you put the regulator in upside down. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Ed Harris can breathe underwater.
Yeah.
That's what he'd been told.
Yeah, Ed Harris is Aquaman. It's just... Oh God.
Jesus.
I think maybe perhaps James Cameron was on fucking lifeguard duty the day that fucking Jason went swimming. Hey, he'll be right. He can swim.
Yeah. You can't breathe underwater? What? Nobody told me that.
Man.
What anyone else got any likes?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I felt like in general, the idea of exploring that whole kind of, you know, challenging your beliefs and the religion and science where both of their beliefs are right and wrong, and some of the stuff when Loomis is talking about we lied about what evil was to kind of protect everyone and all this sort of shit. They were interesting concepts. I felt it did get lost, but in general, I felt, again, like we said, Carpenter likes to, and he likes to tell you in no uncertain terms that he doesn't like to watch shit, and his movies are all about something and all that
He
sort of
doesn't
stuff.
like to watch shit. He just likes to make it. Based on this. Oh, John, we should talk.
I might need to watch this again. I didn't hate it anywhere near as much as you did.
No, I don't. I wasn't. I was more heading towards your sort of positivity on it, Matty, than Adam's fucking downright just disgusted.
No, look, I agree with you. Carpenter's always striving for something, so I'll give him that. In this case, the idea of science and religion and the devil and all that is an interesting concept, but it's just really clumsy. He doesn't nail any of it. Like there's not one point where you're saying, yes, he has absolutely nailed that. He just doesn't. Like, the movie is extremely boring. Which is not Carpenter's bag. I like a slow build, and he does it well, but you've got to have compelling things to slow build to, and there is nothing compelling here.
I cracked up reading the comments on this, and someone wrote, "You call the name Prince of Darkness, and all we see is a hand."
I wasn't too worried about that. But what I mean is, Carpenter does, like, look at The Thing, for instance. It is super slow in a sense of its pacing, but it's such a compelling movie because there's so much interesting shit going on. You can watch The Thing anytime. This just does not have that. So there's no compelling characters, there's no compelling incidents that occur, there's nothing that I look back on this and could say, and I think even his fans couldn't look back on this and say, remember this sequence? I don't think there's anybody.
I kind of disagree. I feel like, look, it's not The Thing. I'm not going to fucking... I cannot put an argument together to say that it's up there with The Thing. But I just don't feel... I feel like there is touches of classic Carpenter. There's just not as much of it. And it gets... I feel like it's just not as tight. I don't agree with you that the writing is just awful, but there is touches of the dialogue where I'm kind of like, okay, enough of this. Let's get something moving. Let's get some plot moving. And he does lose that stuff. But I don't think there's nothing here. I think there's interesting enough idea that he's trying to work to. Not totally successful, but I wouldn't say there's just nothing. I
can see him sitting there going, look, that whole conversation between Loomis and Wong about what's going on here. The antimatter and the antichrist thing is sort of like that's what's going on. That was the big twist right in the beginning of the movie to engage everyone. I can see him sitting there going touchdown, and you just go, no.
And I think that's what happened. When you hear him talk about it, he's talking about what he was reading beforehand and the ideas that he was working with. And I think that's exactly right. There's parts of it where you're sitting there thinking he's just fucking sitting there grinning like a pig in shit about what he's just done.
I've discussed this with physicists and theologians,
and we're watching the movie going, okay. And there is, look, I think there is more of that, and it's nowhere near Carpenter's best, but there is, if you're a Carpenter fan, I feel like there's enough here to watch it and get something out of the experience. Obviously, no, not for you, Adam.
Look, I'll put it in baseball. He probably thought it was a home run, and it's just a single. Like, he doesn't get, to me, even I'm sure if I looked around the net, there's always a touch point in his most underrated films and his classics and everything. There's always a touch point, a classic piece of dialogue or, a sequence. So, for instance, the guy exploding in Big Trouble in Little China, or in They Live, the punch up in the alley, or the whole I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum and I'm fresh out of bubblegum. I don't think I'd find anything about this where people would go, here's a sequence that sticks in the mind in this film.
I actually think it's, in some sections, I think it's the other way around. Like, I read some stuff about this on the net that I felt was overdoing it with the praise.
Really?
Yeah, I think you look far enough on the internet, you'll find it both ways. But I think there was a section of, there was a few things I read from particular outlets that I kind of enjoy and sort of have some feelings that are usually aligned with what they put out there. And there was a couple that were really high on this. Obviously, again, not saying it's classic Carpenter, but saying it needs to be re-explored and all this sort of stuff. I'm not quite there, but I think there's definitely something here.
Maybe this is why Carpenter's stuff gets re-looked at, though, because he does at least try to go somewhere interesting, right? Even in his less successful pictures, he still manages to go somewhere interesting.
Well, something like They Live was kind of fondly recalled in certain circles for a few years there, but now it's kind of like people look at it and say it was how fucking prescient it was and on the money with its commentary and all this sort of stuff. And, that was another one that I hadn't watched until there was a fair distance from it. I fucking loved that from the get-go. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely not... It's. I'm not trying to say it's up with his best work, but 1.5 might be a little rough.
There's something missing for me. It just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And even directorial.
Is this a Snake Eyes for you as well?
Could be.
Did you give Snake Eyes a 1.5?
So
yes, I did.
We've got a rating scale that's
Actually, I think I might have given Snake Eyes a 1.
Somewhere in the middle.
Anyway. Look.
Dislikes. Kick us off,
Adam.
I
love Donald Pleasance. I love him. I love Donald.
Don't do it to the man. He doesn't deserve it.
But his performances at, later in his career, which this would have been, would be considered a bit spotty. And I'd say he's a touch up and down here. I mean, there are times where I thoroughly, he convinced me, whatever crap he was spouting. But there are other times where all I could see was Loomis in like part 6 or something. Where he suddenly, how he bursts into a sudden piece of anger?
Mate, if Pleasance was on the pulpit, I'd probably still go to church.
Oh, yeah. The guy would have me in stitches.
I was fascinated with his beard. He'd chop the sideburns off. I said, trim those sideburns.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I see Spotty Loomis and I see him yelling at a fucking child that can't talk and things like that. Like a raving lunatic, you know. He's the one that should be in the asylum. That's what I see as spotty Loomis. I felt this was kind of level. I thought his performance was fairly measured.
Also, Wongy was also carving out a small amount of ham as well while he was at it. And I'm not going to lie, if my professor's got that kind of wispy mo that he seems to have, I'm not taking him seriously.
He looks just like a physicist. I bought him as a world-class physicist instantly.
Look, I'll give you it's a strange casting choice. I mean, because his whole career has been slicing ham.
Is he the guy from Tremors?
Yeah.
Who's giving us some Swiss cheese and some bullets?
Yeah.
You know,
right on the money there too.
Yeah, like he's a strange casting choice. Yes,
he's every man. He could do anything.
No, he cannot.
I'll give you that. Like I didn't think his performance was that bad, but he's just kind of, you know, him for certain roles. And I wouldn't say his acting performance really sort of shook that tag at all. But
I bloody loved him saying, "Look, guys, if you want some extra credit, you gotta
come along to the church and don't ask any questions."
Yeah, that doesn't sound suspicious at all.
I'll take a C, thanks.
That was the best.
Yeah, stamp my card. That's a pass. I'm out of here.
Now, this was purely for my amusement, but it should have probably been in the likes, but I've got it in the dislikes. The way Brian attempts to woo Catherine, he immediately kicks off with a joke about being a sexist, and then she looks at him like, and he's like, "I'm just joking." Then he proceeds to give her this sort of, I don't know. He the way he says it is kind of in this kind of like seductive manner. So why don't I come round and teach you how to tutor you in something or other? And then he wiggles the mustache, and the next thing you know, cut to. No, that's right. Nothing occurs. I think she blows him off, and then he comes back with, "Why don't we go for coffee?" Cut to, they're in bed together.
Exactly.
You could have skipped all the bullshit, Brian, and just gone, "Let's go for coffee."
I thought the same thing. I'm looking at that going, that wouldn't work. Surely. Even in the 80s, that's not work.
It wouldn't work for us.
She gets one look at him and she goes, "Lose the fucking mustache, creep. You disgust me. I can't look at you."
Yeah, but it was 87. That was probably still, Selleck was still man of TV. and that
prime Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, prime Reynolds. Carpenter had a mustache.
The scene where they're in bed, he goes in for a kiss, and I swear they don't even touch tongues because he can't fucking reach. The mustache is kind of.
She recoiled. I'm pretty sure
he can't get past the mustache. There's too much of it.
His whole performance is a bit stiff.
He's shit. I got to be honest. He is shit. As a leading man,
I didn't go that far with Donald, so shit, you should lay off the bloke.
No, look, as a leading man, if you want me to be interested in spending 90 minutes with this bloke, don't put him in the role, or don't make the character him. Essentially,
give him a semblance of a personality.
Every time he came on screen, because that's what you get. And then the rest of the movie is them debating this science and religion. Mm. And so I'm like, this guy's a fuckstick, and we haven't got anything other than that. So, I really hated him. I hated him. I didn't hate him at a 1.5 level, but
sounds like you hated him at a half level.
I hated him at lower than 1.5 level, but it was everyone else that kept me at the 2.5 range.
Again, I had to laugh. What's that on your arm? I just got a bruise. I bumped into something. It's the size of a fucking softball. And it's got something drawn in it.
Yeah.
Perhaps go to the hospital.
It looks like a fucking tattoo. What do you mean you bumped
branding,
into something?
yeah.
What did you bump into? Something hot?
It's like, yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, we've all done that. We've all kind of come up with a bruise or mark or something and thought, shit, what have I done there? But not that big.
She must have been diving on the court after basketball.
Yeah.
Put it down to that. There's some court burn.
I mean, that's a hematoma. you go to the hospital.
Yeah,
with
we
that.
take you to the hospital and they go, sorry, we're going to amputate. That's got to come off. What did you do? Yeah, that was silly.
Yeah.
That was
What did you
definitely
bump into? The hot water heater.
silly. Yeah, what did you bump into? I think it was the devil in a jar. Been led to believe.
Yeah, and when that scene was finished, John was like, genius.
Yeah, love it.
Definitely a home run there.
I reckon that he was probably doing that all. He was probably just wandering around the crew members all shoot, just going quartermass. Absolute genius. The guy's a genius. What do you reckon?
Apparently he was asked what Quartermass is doing now, and he said he's probably got a drinking problem.
Yeah. He doesn't have a job.
Look, he certainly hasn't got any film work. Coming back to our mate Dennis Dunn, listen, you've watched people get attacked. There's a woman out there who's clearly possessed. You've seen it. You don't sit there and say, normally I like being dominated by women. You dickhead. Honestly, I'm stopping trying to, you know how they were trying to burrow through the wall? As soon as I hear that, I'm going, you're on your own.
Sorry.
I'm putting the bricks back in place.
He does not give a crap. He does not want to do any work.
And then he pipes up with, oh, sorry, Lisa. You know, I was wrong. You don't look at all Asian.
There's definitely some power relationships in this that have aged poorly.
Yes, correct.
Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, we kind of brought that up previously, but that whole sequence didn't play out all that well.
No,
Like it just there was just no sense of urgency at all.
Until he paddocks the fuck out of there.
he starts
And then it's
panicking.
great.
I mean, that is the worst performance in the film.
Yeah,
When he starts panicking in the room.
It's not.
it's mustache. It's mustache.
I reckon Susan or whatever her name is that loses the glasses, she becomes stiff as a board. She's the most boring zombie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't a cast of, seasoned, people who give you a performance, but then again, they weren't given a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting around, you've got so many people to work with. I mean, the fact that Hitchcock gets some time is ridiculous. Talk about Joe Smo. Fucking hell. Why was he on hand at all?
I don't know.
Was he supposed to be at uni?
Yeah, it was already going bald.
He looked like the janitor.
Well, mate, the only believable thing is that he needed extra credit. It's a believable reason for someone to be there. But yeah, it's kind of, we're speaking about the individual characters, but one of the biggest negatives for me was that you just didn't know any of them. Like, you didn't get a sense of any of the characters for mine. I just felt like we're just constantly watching these conversations about the science and the religion, and it just went on and on and on. And then they're all put in danger. And by that point, I'm just like, I don't know who any of them are. I mean, there was points where they were saying, like, I think it was like, where's Susan or something like that. And I was sitting there going, who the fuck's Susan? Who?
That's what half of them
it's
were
all
saying
about.
as well. I think that was
I think there was who's Susan or whatever, but then there was also, that later on, I couldn't tell you the name. I mean, we're referring to him as Dennis Dunn because I don't know his name in the movie. It was the same with the guy with the voice that was singing up the stairs. I didn't know his name. Lisa was one of the names I knew. There was just, I didn't know the bloke with the mustache's name, for fuck's sake. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I was mesmerised by the mustache when they were talking about it. But there was just
I think his name was Brian.
Other stuff going on.
We said they could have had that as a running gag. The Who's Susan?
Yeah.
There was an opportunity there.
That was the one that it was when she first goes missing. Who's Susan? Yeah, because it was like, it's almost a recognition of it in the movie. Yeah. But then you're kind of like, so if you know, why did you do it? Because it kind of spoils a lot of what's going on.
Because if Quatermass had cut 3 or 4 characters, it probably would have been a tighter film. And you could have perhaps got more out of it by building a relationship, because the relationship between Mustache and what the hell, Carolyn or Catherine? Was it Carolyn? It's Carolyn. Was non-existent, yet you're supposed to
Mustache and Aqua Girl.
She was boring as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it speaks to, and again, we kind of got that brief mention of what Carpenter was kind of reading before he sort of put the ideas together. Sorry, Quatermass was reading before he put the ideas together. And I think it shows that he was just totally engaged in those. And as much as he talks about what shit other people make, he just forgot that in a story, in a film, we need something. Like, we need a story. We need a progression somewhere. And I felt it got lost and muddled up in all the theology and science that was going on.
Because we needed to buy that Mustache and Carolyn were a committed couple, and he actually cared about her. So when she makes that sacrifice,
we needed to buy that a mustache can love. Like,
exactly.
we needed to buy that a mustache like that could be in an undergrad course.
Exactly.
He could have been teaching the bloody class.
There was a wealth of experience in that.
We needed to buy. We needed
Looks
to buy
like he's lived.
A mustache like that could be a one-woman man. Because let's face it, he's cut the swath across campus. He is cutting a swath.
Yeah.
So we had to believe that they cared about each other, and her sacrifice at the end means something. But honestly, it didn't hold any weight. It had no payoff because they didn't know each other.
Yeah, and I felt that in those kind of conversations between Loomis and Victor Wong, that you could have developed something there. We could have got a sense of who they were as people, not what their beliefs and their teachings were. Yeah. That's all that we got. And I understand that that's part of what Carpenter was going for. That it was very based around that. But even so, I just couldn't. By the end of it, you just get these people that you've heard talk a little bit, running around in danger. I didn't really know, or I didn't have an investment in anyone really.
Yeah.
Back with the investment in the relationship between Moustache and what's her name. There's a point where they're being chased by demon zombies, and they decide that it's an appropriate time to make out.
Yeah, that's right.
That was so out of place, and it ruined that whole section of the movie, I reckon.
I
was supposed to have brains.
We're led to believe.
I understand he's a virile character.
That's not the time.
That's not it.
I mean, that was probably the part of the dialogue that was cut. It was like, oh, look, with a mustache like this, I need to stop and kiss once every.
Well, the thing that I found interesting, though, about their relationship is when they sleep together and he comes in with the coffee and all that. And then he talks about it. She says, let's not say it. Let's not say it until next time, or in 3 months, or in 2 years, or whatever she says. It's kind of insinuating that they've connected here.
Yeah.
But honestly, the only thing she should be saying to him is, what is that on your lip?
Yeah.
You know,
get that away from me.
And look at the time. Look at her wrist that doesn't have a watch on it and go, oh, geez, it's very, very late, I've got to leave.
Yeah.
And in fact, when he got up, when he wakes up and she's still asleep, and I saw him sort of cougering out of the bed, I was like, he's going to leave her, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to whack all his clothes and see you later.
Yeah, I just felt like it was just, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Talking about sparks, there was not a spark at all.
They weren't even rubbing two sticks together.
No, not at all.
Also, the Devil's Hound did look a bit Muppet Hands-ish.
Yeah.
Very red.
Possibly.
It looked a little bit Tim Curry in Legend, sort of.
Yeah.
That's who was coming through the Mercury there.
So I thought that was, maybe wasn't the best design form. Admittedly, it was a $3 million budget, so you probably didn't have much to work with.
Yeah.
The last thing I had was, I know she sacrifices herself. Did she really have to tackle her into the mirror? Did she just come up and give her a good hard shove?
She didn't play that one very well.
No, because the way I saw it 5 minutes beforehand, the heroes threw two people out a window at the same time.
Well, I looked at it and I said, look, I'm just going for the old drop kick there.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm coming in, drop kick, I land just right in place.
Hip and shoulder.
Hip and shoulder,
just a good solid hip and shoulder in the back.
Yeah.
You'll get that done.
Does the job. That does the job.
I mean, the Devil's hand was wrapped around hers. He's taking her in.
Yeah, yep. I actually had a slight issue with the whole video dream thing.
Yeah.
The collective conscience.
I like the way it looked.
Yeah, I did like the way it looked.
Apparently they did it on... They did it on video. They did it on video cameras and then filmed it off the TV to give it the look that they did.
Okay.
And I thought that was effective. And this might just be that I'm an idiot and I missed all the fucking... I didn't read the same books that Martin Quatermass was reading before he wrote this. But it just... I was kind of looking at it going, so what the fuck's going on? And at the end, when she comes out the door, I got the sense that, okay, this is from the other side of the mirror.
Yeah.
But I didn't really
It was
get
meant to be some
kind of...
It was meant to be some alien consciousness going back in time.
Well, that's what I thought.
Because they were operating on a different time scale to us.
Yeah, I thought they were coming from a different time frame, whatever. But when she gets kicked through the other side of the glass, I thought, well, isn't she just waiting wherever the fucking devil's hanging out?
Well, that's what it is.
Obviously, he's
prime
in the
for
future.
That was where
sequel,
that
right?
was the
But if
devil.
the devil's there, what the fuck? How come people are wandering around with videos out the front of a church? Like, I don't know that part. And I freely admit I'm a fucking moron. I probably just missed something. It just twisted my brain in knots, and I thought, well, fuck, I didn't particularly like it. I didn't like how that played out. But yeah, I didn't.
What sort of books do you think Martin Quatermass was actually reading?
Shit that I won't be checking out of the library anytime soon.
The Satanic Verses. A few other
he was talking about, I don't know, it looked like he was... I don't know, maybe it looked like he was possibly doing some bloody pickling recipes or something by the look of the jar, and it just went a little bit haywire. But no, he was talking about...
TNT, The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, they stumbled upon the fucking TGRI labs or whatever. Like, I think he said he was reading... I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, but it was something in the realm of physics and... Yeah,
quantum physics stuff,
physics and shit like that, and it influenced what he was attempting to go for here. So,
right,
yeah. Don't ask me to explain
any
further.
Gonna.
I can talk to you about mustaches, but once
I'd
we
like
talk
to
about
speak
quantum
to John
physics,
Carpenter about it though.
You would,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to say, what sort of shitty were you peddling here, mate? Now, I'm going to say, John,
back, mate.
Give us a couple of questions. What are you peppering him with?
First question is, you have ragged on a lot of other people's work. I'd like to go through the Prince of Darkness with you.
Oh, man. Maybe we need to jump straight on In the Mouth of Madness and really give that a fair old kind of run through as well.
Will we find In the Mouth of Madness?
Yeah.
This was hard to find.
I think it's available. As more available than some of the other ones. Well, definitely, I'm pretty sure Scream Factory dropped that one too, so I think it's fairly available.
What I'd like to check out is actually his remake of Village of the Damned.
Yeah, I actually remember liking that. I remember they showed it on TV here not long after it came out over there, because it was a TV movie in the States, wasn't it?
I don't think so, no. No, I think it went to the cinemas.
Well, it was a TV movie.
What about Ghost of Mars?
Ghost of Mars it was one of those ones where I just looked at the cover and I thought, I can't do it, John. I just can't.
Yeah. Similar to vampires.
Yeah, I have seen the one that he did with Amber Heard.
The Ward.
The Ward. It was not very good.
Yeah, that's the last time he directed a film.
Yeah, probably with good reason, I think.
What about Memoirs of an Invisible Man?
I'd like to see him come in and sort of put a couple out there before he slips off the dish. But I think it'll. He seems to be more focused on the music now.
Yeah, look,
and touring
also,
the music and cashing in on everyone else's uses of his work.
He's also perfecting his response when anyone asks, "What do you think of Halloween Kills?" Oh, it's brilliant. He's perfecting that response that he's got.
Yeah.
For
3 years down the track. Fucking pile of shit. You should watch Prince of Darkness instead.
Like it. Prefer Prince of Darkness. I've been reading books on theology. Good one, dickhead.
No, I reckon we need to get on In the Mouth of Madness, because my recollection is, I think I watched it probably 10 to 12 years ago, and I was fucking stumped from start to finish. So, probably...
Should be a good watch.
Probably need to have another look at that one.
Yeah, just sort of capping off this one, but when I hear that John Carpenter or Martin Quatermass or whoever was involved with this has been reading theology books to prepare this film, I wish that he couldn't read. Like, honestly.
Well, I don't think it wasn't the preparation for the film. I believe it was just... He was just reading this stuff.
So when we go into the crapper and read articles on our phone, he was reading theology books in the dump.
Yeah.
Oh,
if I put a picture together, it's going to be some fucking top 10 stupidest horror movie characters or something like that. But yeah, that's not what he reads when he gets in the job.
When he breaks one off.
Yeah.
All right, is that it? Is that everything?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much covered it until we, reconvene for Mouth of Madness shortly.
All right, well, look, I'm more than happy to do that, but I do want to do Bulletproof with Gary Busey. I need to have a bit of fun after this.
You're waiting for Busey to turn up at your mother's house and set fire in her panties.
It gives new meaning to the word bushfire. Oh, good on you, Gary. I hope that he's in that movie because there's Buttwood as well.
But wherever it is, we need to find it.
Yeah, look, we have to do Bulletproof. Yes?
Yeah. Done.
Considering it's on YouTube, let's make the most of it.
Okay.
All right, so that was the Prince of Darkness. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podomatic. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. As I said before, Bulletproof should be the next one on the agenda. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.